All right, guys, this is really, really fun. So, we got this piece of news that came out about Hillary Clinton's campaign back in 2016 and some of Bill's thoughts on the campaign. This is glorious. So this is in the New York Post. Hillary Clinton's 2016 campaign, quote, could not sell pussy on a troop train. Husband Bill lamented, according to New Book. Former President Bill Clinton criticized his wife Hillary's failed 2016 presidential campaign, complaining to a friend that it couldn't sell pussy on a troop train, according to a New Book. The 42nd president's complaint was specifically aimed at the Hillary Clinton campaign's heavy use of identity politics, attempting to paint Bernie Sanders' policies as sexist and racist. In op-eds ghostwritten by advocacy groups, as the former Secretary of State battled the socialist lawmaker for the Democratic presidential nomination. To the extent that the campaign tactic moved the needle at all, it likely pushed moderate voters paying only marginal attention to the campaign towards Sanders, who spoke like a normal person, while Clinton began ascending into what her ally James Carville would later call faculty lounge speak. Journalist Ryan Grimm writes in The Squad, AOC and the Hope of a Political Revolution, which was released last week. By the way, shout out to Ryan Grimm. That book has become a big deal. A lot of people are talking about it. A lot of people are reading it. Crystal did an event, some event at a bookstore. I was there. I was in the audience watching, where they talk about the book. And there's a lot of really interesting nuggets in there. Former President Bill Clinton, surveying the landscape and the ham-handed efforts at identity politics, was bereft, lamenting to a longtime friend in the fall of 2016 that Hillary's campaign could not sell pussy on a troop train. Hillary Clinton, who edged out Sanders in the Democratic primary race but lost to Trump in the general election, has acknowledged that she didn't run a perfect campaign, but has also blamed the defeat on misogyny, Russian interference, and the FBI's investigation of her use of a private email server while heading the State Department. Yeah. See, now that's the thing. She says, oh, yeah, it wasn't a perfect campaign. But what does she really blame? She really blames Russia and James Comey and the FBI and sexism and, all the Green Party and Jill Stein. Like, all these things that, no, those were ancillary. You're the real person to blame. You are the real person to blame because you just ran a bad campaign, and even your husband acknowledged that. Quote, I was on the way to winning until a combination of Jim Comey's letter on October 28th and Russian WikiLeaks raised doubts in the mind of people who were inclined to vote for me but got scared off. Oh, please. If the election were on October 27th, I would be your president. Clinton added, referring to Comey notifying Congress on October 28, 2016, that the Bureau was investigating newly discovered emails, blah, blah, blah. Anyway, so Bill, old Slick Willie, was behind the scenes, and he was criticizing the campaign. And look, I'm not a big Bill Clinton fan. His biggest achievements in office were actually right-wing policies, like Glass-Steagall, for example, the repeal of Glass-Steagall, which helped lead to the subprime mortgage crisis and the Great Recession. So he was against regulating the banks and regulating Wall Street. He did welfare reform, which really cut welfare massively. So it's a reduction of the social safety net. He did a lot of things that I don't agree with. He wasn't a good president. He was a very, very neoliberal president. To put it in perspective for you, of the three most recent Democratic presidents, he's the worst. So you have Biden, you have Obama, and you have Clinton. Clinton is definitely the worst. So I'm not a fan of him. But in terms of campaigning, look, here's the thing. Bill Clinton and Barack Obama, for all of their flaws when it comes to governing, they were both amazing at campaigning. They were both very, very good politicians, skilled politicians on the campaign trail. And Bill is 100% right that, yeah, the Hillary people came off as condescending, smug, looking down their nose at you. They really tried to shoehorn in identity stuff where it didn't belong. Remember when they attacked Bernie Sanders because Bernie Sanders talked about we need to break up the big banks? And Hillary said, if we broke up the big banks, would that end racism? Come on, man. Trying to act like Bernie is racist, like Bernie is a bigot, when he was literally marching in the civil rights movement and there's picture evidence of him being there, getting arrested. Like, you're overreaching, and it's hollow identity politics. The fact of the matter is, the Hillary people knew they couldn't out-left Bernie Sanders on economic issues. So they tried to, quote-unquote, out-left him on social issues vis-a-vis identity. This is hollow neoliberal identity politics, where they're still in favor of deregulating Wall Street and the banks and cutting taxes for the rich and capitalism all day long, but they will give you more head nods to diversity, and they will, stack their administration with more people of color and then claim like it's a big systemic win. No, it's just representation. That's all it is. It's putting, faces of color on the same neoliberal project. And so Bill Clinton, remember, when he ran for president, it's the economy, stupid. That was his whole thing. And Hillary's, approach was basically like, it's not the economy. It's not the economy. It was, expertise. I've been in government a really long time. I have experience. And Trump is really, really, really bad. And he's got a poopy face mouth. Naughty, naughty bad boy. And that didn't work. It didn't work in the general election. And the only reason it worked in the primary is because the whole deck was stacked against Bernie Sanders in an incredible way, where it's a miracle he got about 45% of the vote in the primary. So, look, Bill's right. And the fact of the matter is this. If Hillary sort of put her ego aside a little bit and, let's say, dumped her overpaid, useless Democratic Party staffers, the conventional wisdom machine Democratic Party staffers, and she just went with the advice of Bill, she'd be president. She would have won the presidency. There's no doubt about it. No doubt. But she didn't do that. She probably wanted to prove to Bill, like, I could do this, I could do it on my own type stuff, and you couldn't. And all the advice you took, your entire campaign strategy, it was just bad politics. So, and Bill realized that. And the line, couldn't sell pussy on a troop train. That is so Bill Clinton. And if Bill was on that train, he would have been buying a lot of pussy. Because Bill buys pussy probably anywhere and everywhere he goes. And he's way too close with Jeffrey Epstein. Very bad. Very, very bad. But so is Trump, to be fair. Anyway, there you have it. Hilarious line. And even Hillary's husband realized how objectively awful she is at campaigning. All right, guys, that's the show. I love you all very much. Everybody, please do me a big favor. Click like, click subscribe. Subscribe is the most important one. Click subscribe. It helps out massively in the algorithm. It doesn't cost you anything at all. And we're trying to keep growing. I want to get to that 2 million mark soon, man. It's going to be a long ride, but I want to get to that 2 million mark soon. So hook a brother up. And thank you to everybody who supports this show on Patreon or supports by tipping on YouTube or supports Crystal Kyle and friends. You guys really make this show work because I've never had a conversation with an advertiser. I never will. It's all funded through small dollar donations from you guys. You guys help run this thing. We also have the default ads that run on YouTube. I have no moral qualms with that. I'm fine with those kinds of ads, but I do have a qualm with ever direct deals with advertisers or talking directly to them, because then you feel like you have an obligation to the people who are paying you, but I don't want to be obligated to some random fucking company who's selling God knows what, because I can't account for what they do, right? So I'd much rather small dollar donations is the way to go. Thank you all for supporting the show, and if you haven't, please consider it. The link's below, and that's all I got for you guys, man. I will talk to you tomorrow. Hey, y'all, do me a favor and like and subscribe. It helps out big time in the algorithm. Click the bell as well for notifications when videos drop, and watch that video on screen right now. You know you want to.